You're welcome along. Monday Night Rugby coming at you. So this evening, it's Rory O'Connor of the Irish Independent. We have Fiona Hayes, Grand Slam winner. There was a whole weekend of Champions Cup action to look back on. So our move now, and I know lots of you out there are loving it, but it's just the way it's going to be, is that we're giving you the full podcast, absolutely waiting for you in all the usual places. Just search the Off the Ball Rugby feed and you'll find us there to give you a taster. And we do talk a lot about Munster, and we talk plenty about Ulster as well and what went wrong. To give you a taster, though, we'll jump in towards the end of our chat. So we came very much last but not least to Leinster. So here's Rory O'Connor and Fiona Hayes talking about Leinster's brilliant win against Racing at the weekend. So let's turn to Leinster away to Racing in Le Havre on Saturday lunchtime. 14-hour journey across Friday. Leinster eventually got in and more than turned up, I think it's fair to say, Rory. So 42 points to 10. You can throw in a try of the season contender there, the Ringrose try. I see the Van der Fleer fourth try for just a little touch of variation and innovation in the 22 as opposed to going down the battering ram approach, doing the rounds on Twitter today as people catch up with the weekend, and they had battering ram approach as well, just for good measure, and brilliant defence and fitness and outstanding individual displays. And what more can you say about this team? Like, they're just insanely good when they're in this kind of mood.
Yeah, I suppose what you can say about them is that they still have it. Like, they need to back this up and back this up and back this up all the way through to May, and it's they're clearly angry about what happened against La Rochelle and Marseille. Every time I go to their press conferences, whenever I talk to any of them one-on-one, it's a huge theme that they're so annoyed what happened. They were so disappointed. There's a response there, and I think this was the first chance they had, really. Like, they've been pretty good in the URC this season. This was a chance to go back to France for the first time against a highly rated Racing team who have the profile of team they have struggled with in the past, and lay down a real marker, and they laid down that marker, and they have laid down markers in the pool stages and in the semi-final against Toulouse last year. Before, it was on a par with those kind of performances. And the sad thing, it's not sad at all, sorry, the difficult thing for them is that we expect them to do this all the way, because really where they'll be measured is in May. They got to win this trophy. They're too good not to win, to have one Heineken Cup in 10 years.
I totally agree.
That was an exceptional performance. And you're right, the variation across the tries, the scores. I just watched the highlights again before I came in just to remind myself. And every one of them has its own strength, and it shows they can beat you anyway. And I thought the fourth try was the most impressive just because of that. The way they thought up a way of fooling Racing, and I keep nearly saying La Rochelle, keep fooling Racing into thinking they're going to do one thing and coming out with something completely. We haven't seen those kind of moves apart from the Barbarians for years.
We don't see enough innovation in the 22 in rugby generally.
No.
There's a paucity of imagination in the 22.
Yeah,
it's so safe.
For years I used to watch the Barbarians do these kind of these moves, and everyone thought it was a bit silly and a bit fun, and I was like, no, well, I always wondered why they went out of fashion, and they've obviously come back into it a little bit since Exeter started taking 5 metre taps and just barreling their way over. Then they changed the rule with the law around the 22 dropout, the goal line dropout, which means that 5 metre taps are more laced with risk because you turn the ball over instead of getting the scrum back. Like, that's a great piece of, like, it's just so smart. It's mad it's taken this long for someone to come up with it. You're right, the Ringrose try, like, the lines of running.
He had the dummy run, didn't he? Which really, set
his
James
work
Lowe
ethic
to go. Is phenomenal.
Yeah, like the way he's playing at the moment is incredible. To take Sexton and Furlong out and still produce that level of performance is, you run out of superlatives, but you do kind of also have to step back, because we do sometimes fall into the trap of waxing lyrical about Leinster, and then it comes to May, and then we kind of and we're all shocked at the fact that they haven't got the trophy to show for it. That's what they have to get done this season.
100% agree with that last point. We definitely fall into that trap for sure.
Yeah, and I think, what was huge for me in the game, guys, as well, when I was watching it, I couldn't, like, Racing couldn't live with the speed of Leinster. They were absolutely clinical. But one of the huge things that stood up for me was his scrummaging wise, how he was around the pitch, a la Toa, right? He was someone that maybe there would have been a lot of chat about Furlong missing games, but he absolutely stood up to it in this against a big enough Racing pack, and I thought he was really, really good. And we know that obviously Ross Byrne was able to control the game again. We know what Johnny brings, but I think that was huge for Leinster to have him perform like that in a big European game against a French team. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and he really gave everything around the park, as well as nailing his mauls and nailing his scrums.
What else struck you about the performance, Fiona?
Oh, they were just so clinical. Everything, they were beautiful to watch. The players really put their hand up. I know Doris was absolutely outstanding, but how sick are we talking about Van der Fleer, and Ringrose was immense as well. The biggest thing was, it was almost like Racing were in shock at the speed that they started the game. You know, we talked about these guys being stuck for 14 hours. A lot of players, a lot of other teams will come off a plane and it'll give you an excuse to have a slow start to the game. Leinster did not do this at all. Their ruck speed, I would imagine, was exceptionally quick. Finn Russell, Legaric, they didn't know what to do. They couldn't keep up with the pace of Leinster, but it was just that accuracy as well. Their running lines, their passes were going to hand, and the variation, as you said, that dummy kind of pull back from the quick tap. I mean, you wouldn't expect Leinster to do that because they are very dominant going forward in their carry. So it was nice to see variations, and the Ringrose try, I watched it from start to finish, and I watched it again this morning, and I really just thought that the players were on form, that everything seemed to be clicking for them. Obviously you're going to have days where it doesn't click, but it just looked like a really, really confident team, and even the subs that came on were making a big impact as well. Conan, so you've guys coming onto the pitch that can come on and make a huge difference as well, and I suppose some of the other squads around Munster or around Ireland probably don't have that same thing, whereas Leinster seem to have anyone on off, and it doesn't really make a difference in how they're playing. Everything is clicking.
Just on it, Ross Hamilton, the analyst for BT, who's done a few bits for the AM show, he tweeted this morning that Leinster's average ruck speed was 3.09 seconds, which was the fastest across any team in the tournament across the weekend. So just when Fiona mentioned it, I saw that earlier. So that just shows the efficiency to it. Like against a good forward pack, they were just blitzing everything that moved. It was like if you're playing off that quick ball, it must be a dream for a backline to play. Yeah,
they're unstoppable when they have access to that kind of ruck speed. And I suppose the point has been, when they meet their downfall, they're stopped at first phase and their ruck speed is slowed down, and then
and Racing,
fallible as anybody.
And Racing played into their hands. I mean, Racing started giving away penalties within the first minute. I mean, the things like the Racing looked at the list of things not to do against Leinster and did them all. You know, it was they were like I was really, as I said earlier, I was really disappointed in them, because I was looking forward to this match as a clash of the Titans kind of affair. And you look at the names on the paper, and you're writing about them all week and how they've changed, and they've got Legaric and they've Max Spring at full back, these young exciting young players, and they were terrible. They were really shocking.
They were disappointing.
And partly because Leinster were so good, and Leinster punished them. Like Leinster were almost disdainful in the way they treated them. Like it was almost like they were insulted that Racing had shown up and played that way against them. I like what Jenkins has brought to back five of the scrum, and I like Ryan Baird at 6 as well. I think I mentioned before
he's becoming a fixture there, isn't he?
Yeah, he can't be a fixture because there's so many good rivals to him, so he has to play well. But he's so athletically gifted, and I think he's getting it now. I think before, what you hear about Ryan Baird is that he's a little bit of a different thinker, that he's so athletically gifted that he almost took it for granted a little bit, but he's missed out on a few big days, and I think it's starting to click with him that he's got to back it up, that he can't just get by on his physical gifts. But there's a vicious. He talked. I mentioned before. I interviewed him before around the start of the season, and he talked about his brother's really critical of him and tells him where he should go wrong. His brother's a rower, and he's watching Courtney Laws and the way Courtney Laws plays, and saying, "Why don't you be like him? Why aren't you as vicious as he is?" And he said he's never been into tackling before. He never liked being kind of inflicting pain in the tackle, and he's trying to bring that to his game, and he can see it. Like, I mean, he's backing up everything he said to me in that interview. He's bringing it. He's bringing that level of physical prowess that he has, and he's putting it about in the right way. And he looks like he's switched on apart from going for the header halfway through the first half. He looks switched on in a way that he maybe hadn't been before, and that's exciting for Leinster, and it's exciting for Ireland, because he's such an incredible athletically gifted player that he could add so much to both teams in the next in 12 months.
So there you go. That was Rory O'Connor of the Irish Independent and Fiona Hayes. That was just a snippet of Monday Night Rugby. The full chat is waiting for you on podcast. Click or two away and you'll get the full Monday Night Rugby there. Thanks very much.